Alright guys, I'm gonna show you the main differences between Ascension WoW, the TBC server, and retail WoW. So we have our client here. My game is already up to date. I've got a fair amount of add-ons installed, so we're gonna take a look at those. This is gonna be a really big top-down overview, but it's not gonna cover everything. So I'm gonna log into my account, and we're going to play our character, which I've already made up, and we're going to start a brand new fresh character. This is going to be in free pick mode. They just merged the servers, so there's only free pick mode available unless I wanted to opt into the draft mode. Currently draft mode is a challenge mode. You do have the option to do draft or free pick, and there are a few other options too if you want an extra challenge, but we're going to stick with free pick today. That's going to give you the best best options as far as what you can choose. Alright, so got my character. Some of the add-ons are probably going to be a little buggy. I haven't really customized them, but here they are. And I'm just going to clear off my bars. So at level 1, just like regular WoW, you've got this first NPC who's going to give you your opening quest. And then we're going to have these books. First book, the yellow one, is going to be your skills that you can train as you level up. This is going to be your talents, your professions. And the professions, you can choose any 2 professions you want, just like you could in retail. You have a gathering, typically, and a crafting. You can also collect all the secondary professions, just like retail WoW. If you do purchase the founders, not the founders, but the supporter packs, you can get these pets as summons. So wherever I go, did it summon it? I don't think so. Oh, I just got to single click it, my bad. There it is. You can come with me. Also options from the shop. There's a bunch of them. There's cosmetic ones, but I have a demon. I have a transmog dude. I have the profession book, and I also have the Wonder Ball. This is actually pretty important. If you bring him along with you, it will give you every dungeon quest at the entrance of any dungeon. So if I go into Wailing Caverns, it'll give me all the dungeon quests for Wailing Caverns. Cool thing about that is it also lets you turn it in, and if you go to another dungeon, all the turn-ins will still be available on the Wonder Ball. Wisdom Ball. I call it a Wonder Ball. Wondrous Wisdom Ball. Whatever. Wonder Ball is fine. So we're going to go ahead. This is going to be choose your primary stat is the first quest for the Ascension quest line. So if you go to... There actually is an icon. I have it turned off that is on by default. So if you want to access it ever, you just hit the N key, just like you would talents in retail WoW. Now you're going to get tabs. You're going to get all the classes. You're going to get all these different specs. Don't worry about it. When you're leveling, these are not that big of a deal. What you can do is you can go over here, and your first thing you want to do is pick your primary attribute. So just like how every class has an attribute, you can go ahead and choose yours. I want to go with, let's go with strength. Strength's going to be a nice option between DPS and tank, which is going to give us faster dungeon queues, which are really quick ways to level. Alright, so we've chosen our primary stat. We're going to talk to the book, and it's going to give us the completion. The follow-up is to level up to level 7. That's going to give you some currency, and it's going to give you a quest reward. Alright, and from here, it's going to be basically the same as retail WoW. We're just going to be questing the quests on the server and the kills. Everything on the server is massively increased experience. You can also augment that with experience potions and an item called the Experience Aura, where everyone in your party benefits. So we're going to do this without the aura, without the experience buff. And I'm going to go in here, turn the first quest, and then I'm going to walk you through the skill trees. So, first thing you're going to see when you hit N is a bunch of skills. Now, if I'm going to be a strength character, you got a couple options. We can go tanky, we can go DPS. We're going to go DPS just to speed this along a little bit. Tank actually with Thunderclap will do a lot of damage, but let's just do a DPS build. So let's go for get an AoE. What could be fun to do? I should have thought of this before I made the video. We're gonna go Thunderclap. Good AoE, good damage. Battle stance could be good. Let's go heroics. Now let's do some class variety. We'll do Probably should have had this worked out, like I said. Maybe I'll edit some of this out. This is so not a big decision, but I'm making a big deal. Let's go Consecration. And let's go... It's gonna be a lot of mana. Sinister Strike. Cool. Alright, so I got Sinister Strike, Thunderclap, and Consecration. We'll go ahead and kill some stuff, do the normal questing. Now I'm going to show you real quick just to see how much experience. I've already got more than half a level just by doing the intro quest, by picking a stat. So let's just keep going, turn the sound on. Do some Sinister Strikes. There you go, level 2 already. 1 kill, that was almost half a level. This is going to be pretty quick. I'm going to pop back in when I hit level 10, and then I'm going to continue the video. I think we're about to hit level 10 here.
What you want?
Just did the first couple quests. That's the Shaman quest I just picked up. We're going to be skipping that.
Spirits be with you, man.
And we got one more turn in here. Let's hope this gets us to 10.
For the Horde.
Yay, level 10. There it is.
Strength.
Alright, now it's going to give you a reward. We can choose a build or create a build. I'm going to show you guys the choose a build option. Just in case you didn't want to totally freeform it, you can actually do the choose a build feature. So in the same way that you hit the N button to access your talents, you can also go to the Hero Architect tab, and we're going to go to leveling builds. You can pick your role, you can pick your primary stat, whatever you feel like doing. We're going to do Tank. God of Thunder Slams. Now that sounds fun. You can pick any build you want. There's one that's like just tank, bear spam. There's paladin type. There's parry types. We're gonna go with the first one just because they get rated by the community, and it looks to be like one of the more popular ones. So we're gonna choose this build. You don't have enough ability or talent essence to activate it. Your talent and will be purged to activate it. So that means that we're gonna get rid of everything that we chose already to activate this build. So we're gonna hit OK. It's now our active build. Every time we level now, the game will choose for us what our skills are as long as we have this build active. So it's going to free pick our abilities. So if you really want to go through and check out what you're going to learn, you can skip through here and it'll show you each talent and each ability that we learn as each level goes by. We also have the quest done to get to level 7, which has been turned in. The Ascension quest, let me see. This is a little bugged out, so it's going to look weird. And it has been turned in. So, now we go here. Battlegrounds. Capital of the Horde, so we need to get to Orgrimmar. And then Dungeon Finder. So we now have those 3 quests activated. If you wanted to go into free mode, you can choose the other option to go into free mode, or also you can deactivate the build at any time. And you can right-click to unlearn abilities if you have enough unlearning scrolls, which you gather by just leveling up. So right now we don't have any. We used our 1 scroll to activate the build. If you want to switch it later, you're more than welcome to. And at this point, we out-level this first zone. The good news is that all of the zones will scale to you. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next area. And in general, it's going to be like this up until level 60. This server, while it runs on the Wrath of the Lich King server engine, it does use some Warlords of Draenor skins, and it also uses some... Let me see, can I activate my mount? Yeah, I think I need to buy it. Yeah. Oh, it's loud. But it runs on the Wrath of the Lich King client. It has some Warlords of Draenor skins for certain models when they actually did the model update. So this orc is not the vanilla orc, it's the Draenor orc. You can choose when you install it if you want to do the high-res textures from Draenor or if you want to keep the old-school stuff from vanilla. I always opt for the better looking stuff. Just find it a little bit nicer. And I'm going to get to the next town. But generally speaking, this is how this works. Since I'm level 10, I'm going to go ahead and we can queue for random battlegrounds at 10. And it's probably your fastest way to level. You're going to be jumping in and out of battlegrounds and dungeons. That's why I generally pick tank. Because you get really fast dungeon queues. And we're going to wait for this dungeon to pop, and then I'll be able to show you guys, or this battleground to pop, and we can walk through that. Alright, battlegrounds are always a mess. People do twink. So we're going to just do our best that we can to get experience in here. It's always better to leave a slow battleground that you're getting farmed in than it is to just hang out. This is just for experience. The honor is kind of irrelevant. Winning's kind of irrelevant. You get more loot if you win, but you also get a chest just for participating and finishing through the match. So we're going to hang in here and see how it goes. Alright, so now we're in the battleground. Most people do not have mounts. This guy does. I haven't been to Orgrimmar yet, so I don't have mine. I have mounts, I just don't have the training. So we're just going to sit here, try our best to get as many kills as possible. Each kill is worth like 2 quests. So you're going to level up really quickly in here. I'm level 10 starting in the first battleground. I imagine if I see it through and we get some kills and they're not super geared or super powerful, we'll probably wind up at least level 15, but you know, oftentimes you'll get way higher. It's all about like engaging in combat as much as possible and seeing what you can do. Alright, let's do this. Alright, and that's our battleground. And let's look at what we got. So after 1 BG, we got 3 levels, but that was really just them farming our graveyard while we capped it multiple times. So we got the win, which is nice. I think there's probably stuff in the mailbox for us too. And we're gonna pop on our sword and shield in a minute, get rid of that. And you can choose what you want for your loot. You can pick whatever spec you want, or excuse me, primary stat you want. And you can also, just choose to get currency, which I would avoid this for now. You probably want the gear to level. Alright, so I got some stuff. I got a mace, level 16. Alright, so we can now look at... This came with an enchant on it. So you see improved slice and dice. Came on the gear. It has a chance to spawn on any green, blue, or purple gear. And this is gives you the ability. So it says Mystic Enchant increases the duration of your slice and dice attack by 25% and the bonus attack speed by 2%. That is actually the same, I believe, as the talent improved slice and dice. Yeah, it's a little bit slower on the attack speed, but it stacks. This particular enchant, I believe, is not unique. So if you find up to 3 of them, you can apply them to your gear. And then when we get into extracting enchants and applying enchants, I can show you what to do with this later. For now, when I put this piece of gear on, I will now have the improved slice and dice talent, mystic enchant, excuse me, on my gear. This has Sacred Duty, reduces the protection of Divine Shield and Divine Protection. That's actually quite nice because I have Divine Protection. And this is Quick Fire Frostbolt. It reduces the cast time of the Frostbolt. None of these other pieces that I've gotten so far have had enchants on them, but these 3 do. So we're going to hang on to them. At the very least, we can do something with them later. Alright, and I think I have something in the mailbox. I'm going to check that real quick, because I just did a battleground. I think I have another chest waiting for me. Couple pieces of loot. Town of Unlearning.
The bells have tolled.
Uh-oh.
Shelter your
Haunted Horseman, whatever. Alright, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and use my Stone of Retreat, Orgrimmar. That's going to take me to Orgrimmar. That's something you get after completing to level 60 on one character on the server. So you may not have this right away, but this will get us to Orgrimmar. Alright, now that we're in Orgrimmar, we're going to look for an enchanting altar, which are usually on the message boards. So let's look. See a lot of people here. Yep, so here's an enchanting altar. These are purchasable in the shop. You can drop one on the ground and it'll stay here, and I'll bring up the enchant menu. So right here we have this. If I wanted to, I could put it here. And I can either reforge, which costs a mystic rune, which you get while leveling. Alright, Velgard. Everyone calm down. Actually, we're going to go ahead and mute the sound. And this is going to allow me to either change what enchant is on here, and you get a random enchant based on anything in the game. So actually, let's do this one, because that's Quick Firebolt. So if I reforge it, now it's Brutal Impact. Stun duration of Bash and Pounce. And you can do this as long as you have Mystic Runes. Extracts allow you to take the enchant, destroy the item, and it adds it to your collection. So this one, it says not known underneath the word mystic enchant. So if I wanted to keep this one, I could extract it and add it to my collection, which can then be applied. For example, let's leave that one up actually. If I wanted to apply something to this one, I could go here, and it will allow me to apply this enchant, Deep Freeze, to this item. And it shows you the cost. These are your mystic orbs. I only have 10 right now. I think you get 1 per level. Obviously less, I guess, but you get a fair amount. By the time I have like hundreds on my main, thousands even. And then you can reapply enchants based on what you see fit. That's let's say I wanted to go for a build right now. I think with Lightning Shield, Thunderclap, and a tank build, I would go for Thunder Slam. Let me find that. Thunder Slam. I can just type it in. Thunder Slam. Damage with Thunderclap or Execute reduces the cast time of my Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning by 100%. So if I wanted to put this on a piece of gear, I mean, it has a bunch of other effects that are actually really interesting, but for now, if I wanted to put this on my gear, I could click it, and it'll tell me the gold cost because I don't have enough orbs to apply it. So that's not something that's viable right now. You get plenty of orbs and runes and extracts as you level, but starting up, you're not going to have enough to really do much with your build. It's oftentimes why when you see level 19s with a ton of enchants who are like really powerful, they're clowns who wanted to twink, and you know, it's really expensive to do. We let them do their thing though. Alright, so that's level 10, almost level 15. I'm going to try and get up to level 60, and I'll show you guys what that's like in a little bit. Alright, as I'm walking over, I just want to explain a little bit about what, since this is a classless game, one thing that they do that is really interesting is they have what's called the Mystic Enchants. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that right now as I'm walking to Razor Hill. The Mystic Enchants will be found in your Enchants tab. These are server-wide, account-wide. So if you find one on another server, like in between seasons, you'll accumulate these as you go. I believe each season they make a new server. If you want to take all of your enchants, you have to purchase an item that syncs your account. That's the way that they keep their servers running. So if you want to buy the store item, it will sync your enchants. There is no real benefit to having every enchant on every character, except that it gives you more options to flip through, and is a little bit cheaper than buying them on the auction house. They're not super expensive generally, maybe like 150 for like the really meta ones. But these will completely change your build, and this would be what I would consider the classes to be in normal WoW. So let's look at the first one. It's called Knight of the Eclipse. Knight of the Eclipse, Sinister Strike is transformed into Eclipse Strike, deals astral damage, scales from spell power, and reduces the cast of your next Wrath or Spellfire by 50%, stacking twice. Additionally, the spell can trigger from your next available Eclipse phase. So every time you do 2 Sinister Strikes, you'll have an instant cast Wrath or Spellfire, and it'll be available during your Eclipse phase, which if you don't know Druids very well, it's going to go back and forth based on your what you hit last with. So it's going to actually scale off of your Druid Arcane spell damage. You can also go into the Mage tree, go to Arcane spells, and there's some stuff that will directly, and you can see here, it will affect Starfire, Star Surge, and Moonfire. So they actually have synergy between the different classes for this. So getting back into the enchant, where'd it go? Where did the Eclipse go? There it is. Eclipse Strike empowers your next Starfire. That's what your Sinister Strike turns into. Next Starfire during Lunar and Wrath during Solar increases their damage, and 12% of your attack power stacks twice. Casting an empowered Wrath or Starfire grants you Astral Attunement. Eviscerate is transformed into Solar Strike, so when you get Eviscerate, when you get to the level 4 Eviscerate, which I believe, yeah, you can get that at level 10, that will change into Solar Strike, and it'll just be a button you put on your bar. Deals astral damage. It does that, so as you can see, like, it completely changes the abilities that you pick, and kind of makes these interesting cross-class combinations. So let's say I wanted to build into Knight of the Eclipse. You want to stick with your leveling build until you get to 60 or 70, and then you can choose, okay, well, now that I have some gear, and now that I have these spells picked out, I'm going to go into this. I'm going to choose to go into one of these Mystic Enchants. There's a lot of them. There's like hundreds. As far as legendaries go, there's 10 pages. So there's a lot of variety. What's another good example? I do Firewatch. This is my favorite. Explosive Shot's a buff now. It's no longer an ability. And your Lava Lash puts an explosive charge on people, which explodes and does AoE damage. We're going to take this Q and I'll finish my little explanation later. Okay, so this is one of my main characters. Oh, that's cool. And I'm going to kind of walk you through some of the stuff you get at level 70. So, as you can see here, you have a Mystic Enchant list. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And it's going to show me all of my enchants that I have available, how many you can have possible. Actually, I don't have an enchant on this that needs to be a Hasty Lava Lash. And each one will adjust your build slightly. So Firewatch is the core. Your legendary is going to be your core enchant for your build. And it'll tell you all the abilities that you need to accumulate as you do it. So I need Explosive Shot, Lava Lash, Flame Tongue Weapon, Immolation Trap, Explosive Trap, Storm Strike. This one is actually very difficult to roll if you're doing the random draft mode, which we hadn't talked about. But for free pick, it's actually quite strong and really easy to play once you get the hang of it. Mongoose Bite, Raptor Strike, and Counterattack. So I've gotten those items, I've gotten some things like Shamanistic Rage, and I've gone into a hybrid Hunter / Shaman build. So things that apply attack power are really strong. Like, for example, you have capstone bonuses. For Shamanistic Focus, 60% of the spell cost of your shocks and your critical strike chance with shocks is increased. However, when you get 3 points in it, the direct damage of your Earth and Frost Shock spells and your attack increased by 20% of your attack power, and your Flame Shock damage 6% of your attack power. I actually think I'm going to get rid of that now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, now that I'm looking at that particular one, I think I want this or Elemental Weapon. I'm going to get this for now, Flurry. Get the attack speed. There's a couple other ones. Let's find another one. Okay, so Mental Dexterity, attack power increased by 60% of your intellect, but when you max it, capstone bonus, you get 50% of your intellect as spell damage, which is quite nice because I do a ton of fire damage in this build. I also went into Mage and picked up Firepower, 10% increased fire damage. I've got some Warlock spells. Curse of Elements is going to increase my damage by 6%. Well, increases their decreases their resistance and increases their damage taken. It's a really nice raid-wide buff. I've got Fell Armor, which increases my hit chance based on my spirit, which is not a ton, but I had some free points laying around and I went into that. I might change that later. Warrior, I have Charge. Battle Shout is quite nice. It increases attack power for the raid. Berserker Stance, that's another passive. You like to stack any attack power passives. Hunter, Aspect of the Hawk, it's ranged attack power. However, since Lava Lash applies Explosive Shot, this actually scales off of ranged attack power. And so does, I have Black Arrow turned into Black Widow Strike through a Mystic Enchant. It's called Black Widow Strike. And what that does is it makes it a melee ability, puts a bleed on them, and they take bonus damage from my Hunter abilities. It puts a poison on them. And it scales with their ranged attack power. And it's a melee ability. So ranged attack power is actually quite good on this melee build, which is actually super fun for me. Kindle the Fire, as an enchant I got, increases my my fire damage based on how much physical damage I do. And Searing Totem will give me 5 stacks. It does bonus damage for my Lava Lash, which also applies the Explosive Shot. So all of my Lava Lashes and the explosions afterwards will do 50% bonus damage once I get 5 stacks of Searing Totem. TNT, I got 3 of them. It's going to make my traps and Explosive Shot do more damage. Mental Quickness, that's a 3-pointer. 6% bonus attack power from my Mental Quickness talent, which is here. And that gets doubled, so it's actually 12% because I'm agility. I've got Versatile Power, so Expose Weakness grants 66% as much spell damage as attack power. I have 3 of those, and that's in the Hunter tree. So my gives me 30% of my agility as attack power, and then I get 66% times 3 of my 30% of my agility as a spell damage. That's a little complicated, but you can see how these abilities can kind of synergize and chain off of each other. gives me bonus crit to my Lava Lash. Again, also applies to my Explosive Shot, because I have this Explosive Charges, which is nice, just a passive buff that makes it apply an Explosive Charge. And all of these items are enchanted. You'll see Equip Mental Quickness, Equip Versatile Power, and all of these items have enchants on them. I'm not super well geared. I think I'm a 117. Yeah, 117 item level. Basically, I did Mythic 1s. But they added a Mythic Plus mode to all the dungeons. They have raids with multiple difficulties, and they actually added and changed mechanics for each of the raid encounters. So this is a level 70 build. I'm going to real quick take us over to the target dummy and look at what we can do here. So I'm going to do my buffs. I need might. Let's do that. And we are going to be doing plenty of damage. Explosive Shot. Black Widow Strike. And the key to this build is using as many of your Lava Lashes as possible, because it gets reduced cooldown every time I use a trap or a hunter ability. So I usually wind up around like 4 or 5k single target. It's pretty good. People get ridiculous in the server. They can get up to like 7 to 8k DPS on single targets during raid encounters. My build's pretty average. It's not a popular one, this particular enchant. So yeah, it's like a hunter enhancement shaman hybrid. It's really fun. I like this particular enchant. There are dozens of these enchants. You can pick from any number of enchants. They're quite good. And they have weak aura compatibility. So if you want to see like when your buffs proc and like what abilities are going to be used next, you can apply that to your weak auras. Alright, another thing I wanted to show you guys was the auction house. In here, they're going to be updating this UI very soon. They're actually going to have it down here in the Transmog tab, which is going to be more similar to classic Blizzard or retail Blizzard, where it's actually going to be a collection. Right now, it's all very menu based. It's a private server after all, but they do have it updated in the next season, so that's going to be really neat. And the auction house, what you're going to see first are these vanity items. So these are items that once they go into your account, they're cross-realm and they're just cosmetics. They have no other purpose. This is basically the end game. You get a loot bot, which will loot for you. You can get mounts. You can get different types of transformations for your druid forms. There's all sorts of stuff. You can take your time to browse it. Generally very expensive for cosmetic items. Are the only things that can't be achieved in the game for free. You gotta buy them. Enchanting altars, things like that. There's also glyphs. They have a tab for it, but there's no glyphs in the game. That's just a Wrath of the Lich King feature. What I wanted to look at was consumables. Let's see. Item enhancement. Mystic Scrolls. Okay, these Mystic Scrolls apply enchants. So these drop randomly in the world. So if you wanted the New Moon Mystic Enchant, you could just purchase the scroll and apply it to your gear directly. You wouldn't have to go through the altar to do so. And then later you could actually extract it from that piece of gear so you can keep it in your collection. So these are actually quick and cheap ways if you want to get the item into your collection, but you don't necessarily have all the currency or the like the extracts and the runes and things like that to get them. There's a whole bunch of them. Everything in the game can drop, even legendaries. So this is a good way to fill out your collection if you're looking to, you know, do so. We're going to take a look at some of the features in Ascension that they're adding in Season 8. Meanwhile, I'm going to do some Battlegrounds. So we'll see how long this takes. But I'm also really bad, so keep that in mind. So the first thing I want to talk about are masteries. Something that they're going to be adding in Season 8 are masteries. So for example, if I go to Shaman, I go to Searing Totem, sometimes you go to an AoE pull, and you really want to have Magma Totem available. However, each skill costs 2 ability essence. That means I need to get both if I want to do both. So instead of doing that, what I'll wind up doing is I'm going to... Oh, where'd this guy go? we were going to get the mastery system, which allows us to freely swap between the different items, between the different spells without having to spend a whole bunch of mastery points. Which is really nice, so we don't have to worry about, hey, am I going to be able to use Frost Aura, or do I have to use Nature Resist Aura? You know, things like that, Hunter aspects. Do I have to use this aspect or that aspect? So that's going to be corrected by the Mastery system. It's going to open up a lot of build variety and make more utility a little bit more valuable. I just Alt-Tab during that. Not a great idea. I always Alt-Tab when I'm dead in the battleground. So the next item on the list is raid difficulties. So there are the normal difficulty raids, they're still intact, but they also have heroic, mythic, and ascended versions of each of the level 60 raids and each of the level 70 raids. With the increased difficulty, they're going to have additional mechanics and increased item level for loot. Also, they are going to have flexible party sizes, and the higher your party number, the more pieces of loot that will drop. So it's pretty flexible. If you want to be doing something with your friends, you can really just like kind of do whatever you want as far as group size goes, which is nice. There's all this shit in the hallway. What is this stuff? So that's going to be really interesting. You can do a whole bunch of different difficulties. There's something for everyone. I'm personally a normal raider, barely. I mean, I probably could work a little harder and get there, but I'm not there yet. So that's going to be the dungeon or the raid difficulty. It's pretty straightforward, right? You're going to have the different mechanics that are going to be available, but I don't know what all of them are. There's going to be a lot more people out there who know better, and there's definitely guides for it, so not a problem. The next thing I have on my list here is going to be realm-wide reputation. So when you are doing a raid, or excuse me, when you are getting reputation on your character, sometimes it's really frustrating when you switch to an alt and you're like, well, I got to regrind all of this reputation, which is, I got a pocket healer, this is great. It's really frustrating to regrind that reputation. So what they have now for Season 8 is whatever character you make on the realm is going to access any reputation gains that they have for the rest of the characters you make, your alts. So no more like having to redo certain ones. They said that they're going to exclude any reputations that would be considered high impact, which I take to mean like the Bloodsail Buccaneers, anything that's going to make you hostile towards a faction. That's all going to remain the way that it has been. Individual for the character. I really want to get this guy. Sorry, I'm just like, I'm talking, but there he goes. Okay, he's dead. Finally. Only took a million years. Alright, the next thing that we have is high risk mode. So high risk mode is something that I don't participate in, but a lot of people do. It is a mode where you are able to fight people in PvP normally, but in world PvP, they will be able to drop any of their item or some of their items. They'll give you a bag when you kill them, and every time you kill them, you get an option to get a bag. There's a what's the sound? I think my switch just turned on by itself. Anyway, there is an option to insure your items. It's called Fell Commutation, and when you insure your items, they will drop gold, the gold that you use to insure, instead of the oh, that's a big boy, instead of the item itself. Cool things about high risk is that there are actually some items that only drop in high risk that are not available in all game modes, which yield certain crafting recipes and certain high risk crafting, and usually for PvP gear. From what I understand, there's a lot of like raid gear that actually can drop recipes, at least from the PvP modes. I am not an expert on it, to be totally honest with you. So there are other people better for that information, because I don't do the mode. I don't like high risk. I feel like you get one shot, you just walk out, and it's like, okay, well, you're gonna die. That's just how it is. So I don't play it, but it is out there if you want to. If you get a good group of friends going, they have a lot of in-depth features that they're adding to this expansion on Season 8, where you can actually go to different tiers. So if you want to dip your toe into high risk mode, you can do that without having to worry about some of the BS that comes with getting dropped into like super high competitive high risk mode. This guy's getting shredded, actually. But I don't do it, like I said. Some people do. There's also... What else do I have on here? World Forge. Now, World Forge is going to be like the big feature for the next thing, for the next season. And World Forging is going to be the Mystic Enchants that I showed earlier in the video. Those are now going to be, there's going to be a set of them that drop exclusively from world content. So for example, and they haven't released the list, they said they deliberately don't want to release the list so that people will get to experience the stuff without actually giving like a wiki how on how to find them all. But it's going to be like a collectible thing. It'll get added into your Mystic Enchants, and you'll be able to find them there. They said that there are hundreds, so I imagine probably slightly over 200. That's marketing speak for a little over 200, is my guess. And the items are going to be dropping. There's only, if you're in a group, only one person per group will have access to them. But they're going to be like the Mystic Enchants. Some of them are going to be build defining. Some of them are going to be... I saw a preview on McDouble's video. They're pretty insane. And they look really interesting, and I can't wait to see what they actually turn out to be. But they're going to be dropping. And the more that you do the content, the more chance you have to actually get them. And they're going to be hidden. Some of them are going to be at the end of quest lines, they said. Some of them are going to be parts of... dungeon drops. There's gonna be zone drops. You find them in chests. There's all sorts of fun stuff. So I'm looking forward to that feature personally. That's gonna be coming out, and it's gonna be probably the bulk of the Season 8 experience is gonna be collecting those World Forge items, checking out the new content. They're gonna be updating with events as the season goes on. So I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be really fun. And I think that's all the different features that I'm excited for. Now, I think this is like a primer, as far as like, hey, these are the things you can do at level 60 or 70. The server's going to be progressive, to my understanding, where you are going to be getting to level 60, they'll release a raid in a few months, and they'll do that progressively until they release the Burning Crusade launch. So this all releases on October 25th? Nope, that's WoW. That's the WoW pre-patch, October 28th. And I'm really excited, and I want you guys to join me playing it. I found this by accident. I've really enjoyed playing it, and I hope someone else will join me, because I'm getting destroyed in Battlegrounds and I need your help. So please help me.